Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Software. Today I'm going to do an unboxing of this Specna Arms SA-FX01 ETU edition with the HAL ETU. As a full disclaimer, since filming this video, unfortunately, I lost a hard drive with a significant amount of footage, including the shooting tests and range tests and things from this particular unboxing. Although they are commented on, the actual footage itself is not included. Sorry. Hey guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this content today, please do consider liking, commenting and subscribing, because that helps me get seen by the YouTube algorithm, helps the channel grow. Link down below will take you to all my socials, including my Discord. Please stop by and say hello. Join button down below will take you to YouTube channel memberships, 99p a month or equivalent in your country. Totally optional, really appreciated. Bloopers, giveaways, all that kind of stuff. But let's get started for what we're here for. So we've got a Specna Arms. I have had the sort of AR-9 before, and it was all right. It wasn't amazing, but you know, sort of this new version came out. This one's got the HAL ETU in it, as we can see with this lovely sticker here. So we're going to take a look. So the box itself, fairly standard as we get from Specna. It is a little bit, you know, I've had this a while. This is the second time I've filmed this video, and I deleted the video by accident because I formatted the NVMe drive in my laptop. Silly Pheas. On the end there, we've got obviously the product details, sticker from the retailer. It's black, just giving us some basic details and things. Wrong picture on the bottom. It's absolutely fine. We'll not hold that against them. We'll spin that around and we will flip this bad boy open. So inside then, we've got a thing that gives us a link to the user manual website, not the directly to this user manual, so you can go and download it. We've got a link to their various websites or parts of their website, get those out of the way. We've got a bunch of stickers, and who doesn't love a bunch of stickers? Most of those possibly going to go on my toolbox. We'll get that out of the way. We've got a little Allen key, not quite sure where that is for. Interesting though. We've got our high cap S mag in there as well, with winder at the bottom. We've got our lovely piece of kit. We have got a velocity test that it does not exceed 350 FPS. More on that shortly. We've got an unjamming rod, the all important, oh my god, like wow, we've got 2 bags of silica. Makes it the best thing ever. 2 bags of silica. And then I've just noticed just 2 minutes ago, after I bloopered, which I will upload for members, there is also an adapter in there to make it from Dean's back to Mini Tamiya. Please don't use Mini Tamiya. It's a terrible connection after a while. So we're going to yeet the box. Yeet. Out of the way. And there she is. Now that is pretty spectacular. I have realised, bear with me 1 second, I have not put my new little light on. So, the first thing that strikes me is, yes, it's very AR-esque. It basically is an Airsoft M4 with a different magwell. So in terms of parts and things like that, it's just an M4, basically an Airsoft M4, and it will take front ends. I've already done the disassembly video, so it is a standard M4 nut under there. If you need to replace the front end, you know, stocks, things like that, it's just a generic M4, which is pretty damn good, really, in there. What I was going to say is, the thing that struck me first is how light this is. Now, some of us, you know, we're like that, oh, it's all metal and I love the weight and things. And sometimes, you know what, when you're getting old, you just want something light that you can run around with all day and not feel it too badly. And you know what? The lightness of that is astounding. It's probably not quite 2 kilograms. I'd be surprised if it was over. It is really nice and light. It's pretty much all polymer, other than like the outer barrel and maybe the trigger and the gearbox. You know, most of the weight is pretty much in the middle there. It's really nice to shoulder with the AR stock, and I can't fault the weighting of it. It doesn't feel unusually front heavy, back heavy. You know, it just feels nice, and I can get on there. There's no particular sharp corners, and that feels great to shoulder. So starting at the front then, we have got a metal traditional M4 style muzzle brake. I want to call it birdcage, but I'm pretty sure that's the wrong name for it. Don't blame me. Please tell me the correct name. What that? I just know it's like a traditional M4 style muzzle brake, or AR muzzle brake. And we've then got a metal outer barrel. That is a 2-piece outer barrel. So you've got a big piece here that screws down onto a little adapter, and it's held in by a big sort of just a big metal nut that removes. It's a standard Airsoft M4 front thread, I believe, under there. This handguard then, there's very little to no flexing that. I'm really having to squeeze with that with like all my strength, and maybe a mil at the absolute maximum movement there. So we've got 2 rails attached which are removable with the little screws there, and then we've obviously got basically M-lock effectively by the looks of it. It is M-lock. I can see that they are M-lock held on, so you've still got space to M-lock it up, as well as this extended rail across the top for whatever you need. And they have included some flip up backup iron sights there for getting down there. Pretty adequate for aiming. Not spectacular, but obviously everybody prefers different things. They will come off. Just undo the screw there, and these will just come off quite easily. Probably, yeah, just undo the screw and they will lift off. So moving back then, I do quite like the cut style, the serration, just a little bit something a little bit more decorative than just a bog standard plain boring body. You know, a little bit nicer edging and things like that. With it being polymer, you tend to not get the sharp edges that you might get on a metal body and things. So everything's just ever so slightly rounded, which is just, you know, if you're playing without gloves or you forgot your gloves that day, you know, my kids are terrible for getting the gloves. It's nice to know that actually nothing's going to, other than the BBs coming from the other team, nothing's going to really scratch, hurt, damage, whatever. So you've got this nice sort of serration grid lines there on the front. So if you are a magwell grabber, if you are a real steel shooter, yes, I do know you shouldn't, and I appreciate that, the reasons why you don't. It is an airsoft sort of piece of kit, and you know, unfortunately, I'm really sorry that I've got a bad habit that I hold it. Please don't lose too much respect for me on that regard. So we've got these nice serrations, got quite a nice little trendy charging handle, which does lock open the mock ejection port, giving us access to our hop unit. It is a roll down to hop. Now, this video has been shot after I have disassembled it and I've chronoed it and I've range tested it, and so obviously I'm a little bit better informed. So we'll just pretend like it's the first time I've seen it, but I like that you can access it. I prefer this style of hop because I find that there's more adjustment and it's a lot more consistent in terms of the hop and holding its hop. And if I press the bolt release again, it releases that. Now, we don't get a satisfying sound like we would out of, like, say, a TM-M14, where I don't know an AEG that racks as nicely as like an M14 does. AEG, when you get that really nice metally, you know, unfortunately, that ting is just not cutting it. But it's nice that they've thought of that, and in something that is as budget as this is, that's a nice little feature, to be fair, you know. And we are in that realm of like comparing how little we've paid versus performance. You know, it's a big name in a very budget format, so we need to keep that in mind and not overestimate, sort of thing. The magwell then, sort of nice, easy to locate our S-mag. There is a little bit of side-to-side wobble in there. The only mags I have tested in it are specifically the Specna mags. I didn't have access to anything else at the time. So based on that style of mag, I'm not sure if it will take ARP9 mags or anything like that, or if they are closer to the Classic Army X9 mags instead, and the well sort of ones that are a clone of one or the other, I can't remember which, but they use a latch on the back. So typically, if they've got a latch on the back, you probably, whichever brand uses that latch on the back, you're probably going to be fine with. That goes in nice and easily. I will talk about the mag and filling it later. It's a high cap. Coming back then, we've got our selector. Nice, again, nice little groovy cut. It's not ambidextrous, just single-sided. Relatively easy to click round. So don't expect, you know, if you are running it close to your chest and you're moving it about, you're possibly quite easily going to knock it into a firing mode that you maybe didn't intend to, but just obviously good discipline will keep you off that. Those people are, I'm sure, real steel shooters have got twitchy eyes because I keep putting my finger in there and wiggling it about. I know, okay, I am sorry. I'm really sorry. The trigger then, we've got quite a nice flat trigger with serrations on the front, obviously, just to easy grip. Now, on safe, there is no physical cutoff, so you can still pull that trigger. And it is not quite a standard M4 trigger, airsoft M4 trigger. It's got a magnet on it, which is detected by the MOSFET, so just keep that in mind. If you are going to change the MOSFET or anything, you will need to change the trigger as well to match. So if you put in a Perron in, for example, you're going to need a trigger as well. Keep that in mind. But it is a nice style trigger. I do like that, especially in a budget package. Yeah, that's cool. Then we've got arguably a really lovely ergonomic pistol grip. So I've got nice stippling effect there to grip with gloves on, that kind of thing. Serrations around the front, you know, with no gloves on, that's really lovely and nice to grab. There's no sharp edges, there's no nipping points, you know, even that where there's a bit of a gap there, I'm not feeling any, I'm not suffering, it feels lovely. Coming back to the stock then, we've got a polymer stock. I'm guessing it's a 6-position stock. We'll have a look now because it's easy to lift that off. It is a 6-position stock. We've got slight rubber coating on each side. I'll not make the joke there. I'll let you assume the joke there. And it terminates into my favourite connector, a Dean's, although people are telling me I need to look at, is it JST60 maybe? Possibly. Bear with me 1 second. My phone is telling me that my storage is nearly out. Okay, so freezing up some storage. So JST60, I've been told I should look at, but Dean's for now works really well with me. And that's, most MOSFET systems come with a Dean's on for that bit better quality connection. Initially, out of the brand new, out of the box, there is nothing necessarily wrong with a Tamiya, but over time the pins and the way it works, it just opens up, it reduces the contact quality, you're adding resistance and things like that. The Dean's don't quite suffer that same kind of issue, so you tend to get a better quality connection overall. So I'm quite impressed with the overall build. I love the nice lightness. There is little to no real movement. The stock itself possibly offers a little bit of wiggle, as it were, so I'll just put that on there. You know, put the mag in, a little bit of wiggle, and the mag being a high cap will rattle a little bit, but generally speaking it's pretty well built. Again, budget, it's kind of above its price point really. So we'll cut to the range check and all those kind of things, and then we'll come back and discuss it, and I will try and sort of remember best I can those bits of the video.
Pew, 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 pew. This concludes all of the shooting tests. I hope you've enjoyed.
Okay, so as you've seen there, then this has been downgraded for UK usage, possibly a little bit further than I would have liked personally, but you know, it is what it is. So ignore the FPS as such. What I would say is I have seen that they're coming out from the factory to about 380-ish and above typically. So expect obviously significantly higher FPS. Range is all right. It's not amazing. It's sort of around 45-50-ish meters, a little bit of a spread. It is a 6.03 Type R barrel. From what I remember, it did need quite a substantial amount of adjustment to get the 2.5 to hop, but it was all right after that. Rate of fire is sort of just over 11 rounds per second on a 7.4, which is pretty damn good. It's, you know, the MOSFET is helping that along. Just over 20, like sort of 20 rounds a second on 11.1, which is pretty good. Well, it's better than a non-MOSFET system. And the fact that MOSFET offers some programmability as well on top of just standard function is also nice. That is a separate video I'll link down below. So, you know, there's some real options in there, and there's a lot of versatility in this little package really. And don't forget, in terms of rates of fire, it only takes one BB to take somebody out, sort of thing. Okay, so we're going to move on to the gloved operation, and then we'll do batteries. So thanks again to the guys on my Discord for suggesting this. They did suggest a magnet system. Now there's no point, because basically it's, other than the outer barrel, it's all polymer. Even the buffer tube, stock tube, is polymer. So gloves are on. The mag, I can totally wind the mag. I can totally open the hatch and fill the mag up. I can definitely get that in. Look at the size of the mag catch. That's huge. That's easy to get in and out. In terms of operations, I can easily get those sights up and back down again. I can easily charge it. The hop, the same issue as always. I can definitely adjust the hop, and I know I'm adjusting it. I just don't know how much I'm adjusting it. In terms of the stock, I can easily adjust that, and that is so easy to get off. You know, Specna, that's a really good design to get that off. I can easily get into the stock to change the battery and everything. So I am pretty damn happy that that is glove operatable. You know, the enhanced enlarged mag trigger guard is really nice as a feature. So get that out of the way. Now, in terms of the mags then, this is a high cap mag. So we call it that because it's a high capacity, so signified by the winder on the bottom and a little hatch. Please do not push BBs into there. The BBs should only go in there and come out there. So you're going to pour your BBs in until you basically can see them at the top, and you're going to start winding this little winder. Now it's important to keep the mag upright, because if you are holding it upside down and you haven't closed the hatch, the BBs will come out, but you are taking the BBs away from the winding mechanism. So you will be winding for ages and nothing will happen. You need to keep it more or less upright so the BBs sit on the winding mechanism, which then feeds them up to the top. Once that tube is full, you are compressing a spring, and that's what happens as you are letting the BBs go out the front. The spring unwinds to keep more BBs going. So as you're playing the game, let off 10, 20 rounds, keep it winding back up again, because nobody wants to jump out, get the jump on another squad and go, ha, and start firing and nothing's coming out, and you're just kind of going, oh, damn it, because you didn't keep that wound. You'll get to a point where there are not enough BBs in the mag to keep compression on the spring, so you will get a long noise of the spring unwinding, at which point you know it's either time to reload if you don't have any more mags, or it's time to switch mags if you've got other mags, sort of thing. So keep that in mind. So high cap. So the last thing we're going to talk about then is batteries. I've got a variety of little batteries. Now, your battery is going to go in your stock tube. So I brought some long ones first just to instantly discount those. So this is a 7.4 1200 milliamp. That, now, if you don't mind having your stock extended somewhat, then that is absolutely fine and it will fit in there. You can wire that up absolutely fine. Similarly, with your 11.1 1200, again, if you don't mind having your stock extended, sort of 3-4 positions, you're going to fit that in absolutely fine. Now, if you want the ability to fully collapse your stock, then you're going to need something smaller. So I've got there an 800 milliamp 11.1 there from VP Racing. That will sit, or should sit, all the way inside the stock tube, and I can put the wiring on. I might, based on that, I might not even need a position. I'm going to say you might need to open it up one position, but I can get that in fully without any issues whatsoever. That is quite a snug, it's not a snug fit. I've then got an 1100 11.1 Nupro LiPo. That's even smaller, fits even easier. I can get everything inside the stock tube there with no issues. And then I've got a Giant Power 1000 milliamp, tiny little 7.4. That easily goes in, and room for all my wiring and everything. So I've got no issues with that. So you're going to have to get, probably depending on how trigger happy you are, a couple of stock tube lipos to go in there. So obviously you're going to need some sort of stock tube lipo to go in there. Possibly run a couple for the day if you are trigger happy, or if you've got access to a charger, maybe you can recharge at lunch, sort of things. Just a point to note that when it's new out of the box, I did initially think that this was broken, and let's see if it happens now. So if I put a battery in, it may be that I thought initially that it was broken. It's not, so it's safe. It's not. Now, it may be that the system is set to basically be like a delivery mode where the MOSFET is turned off. So on the link down below to the programming mode, I will show you how to disable that. In fact, actually, I'm going to film that right now. I'm going to jump and change that and film that. So what you have to do when it's new is activate the trigger. So the way to do that is you plug your battery in, you wait for 3 seconds to get the beep, and then you're basically going to just pull and hold the trigger for 3 to 5 seconds. You will get a further beep. At that point then, you have activated the trigger and everything will run as normal then. Otherwise, I thought it was broken, it wasn't working, and I got a little bit stressy when I first initially did it. And you can reactivate that trigger lock at any point using the programming system. So, I hope you've enjoyed that. I've enjoyed it immensely. I think it's a lovely piece of kit, to be honest. I think one of the nicest things for me is just how light it is. That, you know, get a battery in it, some little mags, you are not going to have issues running all day with that. Some people are against the AR-9 sort of format, others love it. I don't mind it too much, to be honest. I do feel like the winding mechanism in these, like an MP5 mag, is not going to be great. You're going to be winding these an awful lot, so some mid caps wouldn't go amiss. if you're going to run these and you don't like rattle of a high cap and things. I think the performance is pretty good. The fact that you've got a programmable MOSFET in there as well with some cool little features on it and stuff, you know, you can't really lose for these kind of price points. I've deliberately not said the price because it's different in different countries. It may have changed over time, so just keep that in mind. So obviously go and source where it is local to you in terms of prices and things like that. So please remember to like, comment and subscribe. I will leave the key stats and the pictures at the end, a little bit of cool music as well. And I will see you next time. Bye.